Jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, we first offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and Srila Vyasadeva, the author, by regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavad, and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed to practically nil, and thus loving service unto the glorious Lord, who is praised with transcendental hymns, becomes established, is an irrevocable fact. Srila Prabhupada ki. So it's text number 5 today from the second canto, 9th chapter, answers by citing the Lord's version. That's to the answers to the previous questions asked by Parikshit Maharaj. So text number 5, please repeat. Sa Adi Devo Jagatam Paro Guru. Sa Adi Devo Jagatam Paro Guru. Swadisham Astaya Sri Shikshayai Shata Swadisham Astaya Sri Shikshayai Shata Tam Najagat Chad Drisham Atra Samatam Tam Najagat Chadisam Atra Samatam Prapancha Nirmana Vidir Yaya Bhavet Prapancha Nirmana Vidir Yaya Bhavet Sad Adi Deva Jagatam Paro Guru. Swadisham Astaya Sikshaya Yaikshita Tamna Jagat Chadrisham Atra Samitam Prapancha Nirmana Vidir Yaya Bhavet Saradi Deva Jagatam Paro Guru Swadesham Astaya Sikshayakshita Tana Jagat Chadrisham Atra Samatam Prapancha nirmana vidiraya bhave.
Prapancha nirmana vidirya bhave.
Saradideva jagatam paro guru.
Saradideva jagatam paro guru.
Swadisham astaya siksha yaikshita.
Swadishyam astaya shikasayakasanta.
Tamna jagat chadrisham atra samatam.
Tamna jagat chadrishamatra samatam.
Prapancha nirmana vidiraya bhave.
Prapancha nirmana vidirya bhave.
Saadidevo jagatam paro guru.
Saadidevo jagatam paro guru.
Swadishnayamastaya shishrikshaya kshata.
Swadishtaya astaya shikasayakshata.
Tamnadya gaccha drishamatra sammatam.
Tamnadya gaccha drishamatra sammatam.
Prapancha nirmana vidiryaya bhave.
Prapancha nirmana vidirya bhave. Saadideva jagatam paro guru.
Saadidevo jagatam paro guru.
Swadishnayam astaya shikasayakasata.
Swadishnam astaya sadrikshaya ikshita.
Tamnadya gaccha samantam.
Tamna jagat chadrishamatra samatam.
Prapancha nirmana vidyaya bhave.
Prapancha nirmana vidiraya bhave.
Saadideva jagatam paro guru.
Saadideva jagatam paro guru.
Swadishnayam astaya shikasayakshata.
Swadishyam astaya shikasayakshata.
Tam nadyagacya drasham atra samatam.
Tamna jagat chadrishamatra samatam.
Prapancha nirmana vidyaya bhavet.
Prapancha nirmana vidyaya bhave.
Saadideva jagatam paro guru.
Saadideva jagatam paro guru.
Swadishnayam astaya sisrityasyaksata.
Swadishyam astaya sidrikshaya ikshita.
Tamnadaya gacchadisham atra samatam.
Tamnadya gaccha drishamatra samantam.
Prapancha nirmana vidirya bhavet.
Prapancha nirmana vidyaya bhave.
Okay, word for word. Saha,
Saha,
he,
he,
Adideva,
Adideva,
the first demigod,
the first demigod,
Jagatam,
Jagatam,
of the universe,
of the universe,
Paraha,
Paraha,
supreme,
supreme,
Guru,
Guru,
spiritual master,
spiritual master,
Swadishyam,
Swadishyam,
his lotus seat,
his lotus seat,
Astaya,
Astaya,
to find the source of it,
to find the source of it,
Sri Sikshaya,
Shikshaya,
for the matter of creating
for the matter of creating,
the universal affairs.
the universal affairs,
Aikshita,
Aisha,
began to think,
began to think,
Tam, in that matter,
in that matter,
Na, could not, Jagat Chat,
Arigacha,
understand,
understand,
Drisam,
Risam,
the direction,
the direction,
Atra, herein,
herein,
Samatam,
Samatam,
just the proper way.
Just the proper way.
Prapancha,
Prapancha,
material,
material,
nirmana,
nirvana,
construction,
construction,
vidi,
vidi,
process,
process,
yaya,
yaya,
as much as
as much as
bhavet
bhavet
should be.
should be.
Translation, please repeat. Lord Brahma,
Brahma,
the first spiritual master,
the first spiritual master,
supreme in the universe,
supreme in the universe,
could not trace out
But not trace out
the source of his lotus seat.
source of the lotus.
And while thinking of creating
And while thinking of creating
the material world,
the material world,
he could not understand
he could not understand
the proper direction
the proper direction
for such creative work.
for
such
such creative
creative
work.
work.
Nor could he find out
Nor could he find out
the process
the process
for such creation.
for such creation.
Srila Prabhupada's Divine Purport. This verse is the prelude for explaining the transcendental nature of the form and abode of the Lord. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it has already been said that the supreme absolute truth exists in his own abode without any touch of the deluding energy. Therefore, the kingdom of God is not a myth, but factually a different and transcendental sphere of planets known as the Vaikunthas. This will also be explained in this chapter. Such knowledge of the spiritual sky, far above this material sky and its paraphernalia, can be known only by dint of devotional service or bhakti yoga. The power of creation by Lord Brahma was also achieved by bhakti yoga. Brahmaji was bewildered in the matter of creation, and he could not even trace out the source of his own existence. But all this knowledge was fully achieved by him through the medium of bhakti yoga. By bhakti yoga, one can know the Lord, and by knowing the Lord is the supreme, one is able to know everything else. One who knows the supreme knows everything else. That is version of the Vedas. Even the first spiritual master of the universe was enlightened by the grace of the Lord. So who else can attain perfect knowledge of everything without the mercy of the Lord? If anyone desires to seek perfect knowledge of everything, he must seek the mercy of the Lord. There is no other means to seek knowledge on the strength of one's personal attempt is a sheer waste of time. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport to the 5th sloka, 9th chapter, 2nd canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, answers by citing the Lord's version. Srila Prabhupada ki. We offer our respectful obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, who has opened our eyes even though they were filled with darkness. When will Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within the material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give us shelter under his lotus feet? So Srila Prabhupada is actually answering so many questions before Sukadeva even starts answering the questions of Brahma from the previous chapter. Some of the main points that the first spiritual master of the universe, everything comes from him in the material creation. The great yogis, the little infant or toddlers, children, sages, the Kamas, the greatest of yogis, next to Lord Shiva, they came from Brahma, and Lord Shiva himself appears from the forehead of Brahma. So everything is created by Brahma, except for Brahma himself. He comes from Vishnu, but he can't figure it out initially. Everything is dark. He's born on this lotus seat. In one sense, he's not as fortunate. He doesn't have a mother there. His mother will appear in the form of the Vedas. So the Vedas are considered our mother, because he becomes enlightened with this Vedic knowledge, and he speaks the Vedas in the form of Gayatri mantra initially by Krishna's mercy. Krishna reveals everything to him. He hears Krishna's flute, goes into his ears and comes out as Gayatri mantra. Then that mantra is everything, all the Vedic knowledge. But initially, Brahma's in this predicament that we're hearing here. He can't really understand his source. He can't even understand, his surroundings or the place where he has appeared on this beautiful lotus seat. He can't figure that out. And although he's imbued with this tendency to want to create, he has this Shakti, this divine energy, whereby he is feeling the impulse to create, but he can't understand exactly the process. As well as the proper direction. There has to be some direction exactly how you do it. And all this is confusing or bewildering to him. But as we'll learn in the next verse, by Krishna's mercy, he sends some sound vibration. And that sound vibration he understands. He's not born completely ignorant like a human baby who can't talk and can't really move, can only waddle in a laying position, completely dependent on its mother for milk to live. Can barely, we don't see, not exactly sure what it hears or what it thinks. It's just coming out of a extremely difficult and precarious situation inside the womb of the mother, and has struggled to come out. Always comes out crying. In fact, can't even initially breathe. Generally is blue. The doctor has to slap the baby for it to catch some breath and start to breathe. So the situation of human baby is very difficult. Brahma's situation is difficult in the sense that he also can't understand his whereabouts, even though he appears fully mature. He doesn't appear as a baby. He's mature. He can, he has his developed arms and legs, his brain and his head. Everything's there. But, he's bewildered. He's just appeared in this situation. And although he's inclined to want to make something out of it, he really doesn't see the direction to go in or exactly how to do it. But again, he hears some sound, as we'll hear in the next verse, and that gives him a sense of what to do next. He automatically realizes from that sound vibration that life now is meant for deep contemplation, for austerity, not trying to create something to fulfill my senses, but it's meant for understanding by taking the time and trouble, having the enthusiasm and the patience to go deep within and understand the source of everything, the first cause of everything, the Supreme Personality of God, and he must do that like all of us. You know, we have to go within and chant Hare Krishna and pray to Krishna's internal potency, Srimati Radharani, to again serve Krishna and to have that revelation of actually being engaged in Krishna's service. You know, we have to be able to perceive life as it is, have to see that we have no existence outside of Krishna, that without Vishnu, there's nothing that exists. Without my connection to Vishnu, is the Paramatma inside this body with my very soul or self. I have no life. You know, all these things have to be realized by Brahma. So he sits down and starts to perform his meditation. Just like, you know, we meet our spiritual master, and, you know, he gives us a mantra and he gives us discipline. You know, he tells us, you know, not to go out and drink, you know, not to go out and party. You know, he says, you know, don't eat these things. And he tells us, you know, don't waste your time speculating and trying to get quick money. And chasing after the opposite sex. He tells us, don't waste your time with all that. You know, sit down and chant this mantra. You know, understand properly the real situation around you, that everything's dying and new things are being born, and they're simply gradually growing old, and, you know, they're becoming diseased and dying, and that, you know, this is the nature of this world. But there's, as Prabhupada talked about in the first paragraph of the purport, there's planets beyond this that aren't subjected to this ordeal, this pain, this misery. You know, we can't fool ourselves that it's pleasurable to grow old like some avatars. You know, they try to sell us trips and, you know, try to sell us bathtubs that will make our life easier. And they even try to sell us medicine, and, you know, they'll make our brain work better. They try to sell us everything, and as though life is going to become sweeter by what they're giving, whereas in reality, we're simply undergoing the pain of growing old and the body getting diseased. You can't stop it. You see that they try to stop it, and they promise you something. They promise you something. But, you know, if you live, you're lucky, and then ultimately you die anyway. And it could be quickly. You know, it could be quickly. It could be in the treatment. I mean, just like that. So, you know, we can't be fooled by this place. You know, we have to sit down and follow the spiritual master's advice. The spiritual master is Krishna's representative. Just like Brahma is the first spiritual master, but there's no one else there. So the Lord becomes his spiritual master. The Lord is the original spiritual master. He's the original seed-giving father. You know, when we're born, we have a mother and a father. So in one sense, they're like our first guru. And if they mislead us, then that's our misfortune. we were born in that situation because that was our desire. So, our Guru leads us on. In most cases, people are born into the world of fruited work, and the Guru leads them on into fruited work. Just do this to earn and enjoy life and support, others as well as yourself. As though that's the all in all. In this world of birth and death, that's what we're supposed to be doing. Trying to enjoy ourselves, simply to be beaten down by old age and death and disease. Is that? So that's the bodily guru. If that's the situation, maybe the parents, Prabhupada made some statements you can look for on the database. I didn't really check it. It's been a long time. The devotees used to quote it all the time. Srila Prabhupada said that if one's mother's a devotee, then one will be a devotee. But maybe our mother wasn't a devotee. Didn't really have any faith in God, in a supreme God. And generally speaking, in the West, we don't know who the supreme God is exactly. And it's just some Christian theology that it's that there's no difference between God and the Son that appeared in the form of the Christ of Nazareth, Jesus, in the Roman speech, Emmanuel, I think, in Hebrew, if I'm not mistaken. Or they have an Aramaic name also there that I can't remember right now. But they somehow there's no difference between God and him. According to the theology that they've developed in the course of time. But that's all they know. They really don't know any past time beyond that. All they know is what he did in this world and exactly what's that heaven like. There's only so much given in those ancient Hebrew scriptures. There's not a lot of divine revelation about that in the New Testament that was given by Jesus' disciples. So, but still, one may have some faith in a supreme God that everything has come from. And somehow we can return to him. We have faith in him that, he'll take us out of this world of death. So, if one has some good fortune that their immediate God, had some faith like that and put that into our heart as well, then, one has some luck to start off with. Other than that, if we're unfortunate that we've been born on the other side where there's no consideration of that, there's only some attempt to make us a good person, or maybe to just follow into their footsteps. What if our parents were just drug addicts and were just stealing to trying to get money and to satiate their habit, and at the same time just passing that habit on to us? Then that's a really misfortunate position. But due to the pain and misery, one may be searching for some way out and find a spiritual master by good fortune. The difficult thing will be in following the Guru, because all those things that haunt us will be pestering us, and we have to stick with the lotus feet of the Guru and drive that stuff away. It's Prabhupada's Guru used to say that we need to beat our mind with a broomstick or a shoe 100 times, because the mind's going to be, remembering all those things, those previous addictions, and want us to indulge. But the Guru is saying, no, do this. So we have to, that's what it means to take shelter of his lotus feet. It means to take shelter of the from his lotus mouth, the words, his direction. It's like, Brahma will get direction here, how to create. He'll understand the process of creating and the direction to create. He'll understand everything when Krishna reveals everything to him. So the Guru is giving us the process. We simply have to have the patience, yet the enthusiasm and the conviction, and all that may take time for that purification. It's said that initially it's like poison. You can imagine, the poor soul who has been covered completely by the material modes of nature, especially the lower mode. And he has to now take shelter of the Guru's lotus feet. It may be extremely difficult. But, that's the only way out. And at first it may be very difficult. There may be no pleasure in chanting Hare Krishna and meditating on Krishna and even understanding Krishna. Maybe no pleasure in, waking up early and showering and, going off to perform some austerity, of trying to understand and listen to the Vedic knowledge, listen to Prabhupada's books, listen to the mantra that he wants us to sit down and chant for 2 hours in the morning, without meditating on any of the nonsense that we know about. And all that may be even painful, but gradually it will become sweet. Prabhupada compares this, the Vedas compare this to a disease called jaundice, whereby one's skin complexion becomes yellowish, and one becomes extremely fatigued, and their eyes may also become very red. So the cure is actually eating rock candy or sugar candy. But when you eat it, it's like bitter. Sugar is bitter when you have jaundice. But if you keep taking it, according to the doctor's direction, then gradually it becomes sweet and the body heals. The complexion becomes normal, the eyes become normal, and the health becomes normal. So, same with spiritual life. The soul is like completely covered by, a gross body and the lower modes of nature and a gross and a subtle mind that is completely habituated to all these gross things. So, at first performing spiritual life may be real bitter. There's no pleasure in it. One may have to find some ruchi or some taste just to keep one going. And we have to develop a taste. At first we need some faith to do it, but then we need to get some little taste. So if we continue to stick it out, then gradually it becomes sweeter, and some taste develops, and we can become really steady at it. It becomes like something you like to do in the material world, just like kids that like to play ball. They just love to play ball. Some of them can play ball all day long. Whether it be billiards or basketball or this ball or that ball. They could play all day long, some of them. Or like a guy that likes music, they could just play their guitar all day long and do nothing else. So, just like that, we'll develop some taste for chanting Hare Krishna. Maybe not on the level of Haridas Thakur, who could chant all day long and not be in this world. He isn't exactly an ordinary human being. He would have fall into samadhis where he would speak all kinds of languages that people couldn't understand. And it wasn't like he was a highly schooled person. This was just by his great revelation and natural position of being a great soul. So he'd speak all these languages. And then when he would come out of trance, he would actually explain these languages and what he was saying to people. He was so powerful and great. Sometimes people would challenge him. Brahmins, big Brahmins, they would challenge him because Haridas was born in a Muslim family. he's considered like an outcast in the Hindu community. But from the time he was born, he could only chant. And all of his village prospered because of him being such a saintly person living there. Eventually he left, and he went other places, and people became envious of him. All sorts of things happened in his life. One Brahmin one time challenged him. Accused to the extent that the Brahmin said that if what you said is actually incorrect, may your nose fall off. And what he had said was that one should chant Hare Krishna loudly. Actually, the Brahmin questioned him because he was chanting loudly. He said, "Why do you chant loudly? That's not in the Vedas. You should chant softly for meditation. So why are you doing this?" And he said, well, he quoted some shastra that, by chanting loudly, the trees benefit, the animals benefit. So therefore, loud chanting is considered 1,000 times better than soft chanting. And the Brahmin became upset that he argued with him, that he argued back, that he presented an answer to his challenge. And so that's when he said, "May your nose fall off if this is incorrect." And then a few days later, he had contacted leprosy and his nose fell off. So Haridas didn't continue to argue with him. He just smiled and went off chanting. You can't really argue with people who, don't have any respect for you, and that they're just determined to beat you down. So he was, we can't imitate him. We got to try to chant for 2 hours at least, Then we can do other types of devotional service. We may continue to chant if we have some taste, but we can go on Harinam and sing. Sometimes people like to do that. Chanting japa may be difficult for people. Some people like to chant japa and they don't like to sing. But in any case, there's so many different things we can do in Krishna's service. And by doing that, we'll get Krishna's mercy. So just like Krishna will appear to Brahma and help him out to the extent that Brahma learns how to create, process for creation, the direction for creation, and he goes about creating the universe. Same way with us, all that mixed up direction in our life, exactly how to go, will all become clear. And the process for achieving our goals will all become clear. And, we'll see ourselves as Krishna's little part and parcel, his instrument, meant to serve the parampara. Just like Brahma served Krishna, and then his expansion, Brahma's expansion of Narada served Brahma. And then, Narada's disciple, served Narada, the Vyasadeva. On down, all the way to us, that we can all serve Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada's famous for the saying that I built a house that the whole world can live in. So everyone can take whatever talent, ability, whatever Krishna has given us. You can take out the body Krishna has given us, the mind Krishna has given us, and we can utilize it in Krishna's service by utilizing it in Prabhupada's service, by doing, following in his footsteps. His disciples are there to give direction. And so, they are the spiritual master's representative. And, in the case of persons, new to the Krishna conscious movement, they are their spiritual masters. Just like a Brahmin is one spiritual master. So the devotees are spiritual masters. They are Brahmins, and they're giving direction to people. This is what you need to do to serve Krishna. This is what you need to do. serve Prabhupada. This is what we need to do to teach others Krishna consciousness. And that way everybody can learn Krishna consciousness, pure devotional service, and that will make our life perfect. Everything will become revealed. Otherwise, the final point Prabhupada made, if I'm just an engineer and I just try to understand Krishna through engineering, I'll never be successful until that becomes bhakti. It has to be bhakti yoga. I may be an engineer and I may be a bhakti yogi, and by my practice of bhakti yoga, I may understand Krishna. But if I'm just an engineer, not a bhakti yogi, then even if I like to philosophize about things, it's impossible to understand perfectly what to speak of engaging in Krishna's service. One has to first become a devotee. One can't be a competitor or can't be someone who doesn't understand Krishna or has no faith in Krishna, yet at the same time is trying to tell others what the truth of life is. Oh, there's nothing out there. It's only this world. Just do your best to be as happy as possible here and just deal with the blows of life. Just roll with the punches in life. And, that's all it is to it. When we're gone, we're gone. And there's so many people talk like that, people have, you go into these lounges, and they all got something to say. And, some of them may even be, have their religions, and that they just say the same line that the preacher has said that they've heard since they've been a kid. But yet, what do people get out of that type of life? Of just, where all of our pleasure comes in the form of eating and sleeping, and we've developed no sadhana or spiritual practice. God's not revealed through just eating and sleeping. He's revealed through, the practice of bhakti yoga, through the spiritual practices, whether it be praying or puja, serving the deity, acting as Krishna's servant, sacrificing everything for Krishna, surrendering everything to Krishna, initially starting with hearing about Krishna in the parampara, or the pure knowledge found in Prabhupada's books. That brings us enlightenment, and then, we can chant that knowledge, and we can remember that knowledge. And then, one is like a spiritual master. One can help the people in the world in the proper direction. These things aren't good for you. This is better. Try to do this. This will help you. It may not seem to happen immediately tomorrow, but if you go on chanting, then yes, things will become better in course of time. And ultimately, you'll be able to go back to those Vaikuntha planets. Just got to keep up that chanting. This is what is really going on in life. That people, by chanting, we get out of this cycle. By chanting, we go to those Vaikunthas. But without chanting, we go wherever our karma takes us. All right, so it's already 8:30. Anybody got something to say about all that? Kind of the same rhetoric, but that's the best I can do. Not being on any higher platform. Every bird can fly so high. So all of us can only get the little realization that we have, So. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.